Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to install a cord cover. I want to give you a little bit of background of what's happening here. Just show you a little bit of what it looks like. This I bought on Amazon. I ended up needing two sets. They were $12. Actually, when I bought them, they were $11.95 each, like $12 each. Now they're $12.99, but that price goes up and down. Check Amazon frequently if you're interested in this. It also comes in other colors, but we picked white because all of our trim is white. So here's the story. We moved our TV, we redid our room, as you guys know if you've been watching the series. The TV is up against the wall to the right of the door. However, there is no electricity there. So what we had to do is we got a 25-foot surge protector. We didn't want to have a surge protector into an extension cord, so what we did was we found the longest surge protector we could find. Then what we were going to do with the cord was kind of like the next step. It was draped across the floor for our first couple of days. It became a little bit hazardous to walk on or walk over with the walker. So I asked Jim if we could put this in as soon as possible. So the first time we did it, this was the first time we'd ever done it. It was so easy. I know I'm just to show you like all the steps. Jim did really good job. The set comes with straight pieces, corner pieces, T-pieces, which are just like inside corners and outside corners. I'm sorry, I meant to say that. And then T-pieces where you're connecting like up and down and left and right. Whenever they show you the samples in the Amazon ad, they always show you just if you had a wall-mounted TV and you were just hiding the cords up to the wall-mounted TV. But it works really, really well for this. I made sure that the size was big enough. It said it holds up to two Ethernet cables, which are kind of thick. And this extension cord does have kind of a thick industrial cord on it. So I wanted to make sure that it was covered enough. But these go up so easy. They're really nice plastic. They have a cover on them that slides off or snaps in. Jim's showing you how we connect the corner. The corner just snaps on, as you can see there. That's the back you're looking at. So he's showing you it just snaps right over the front. So whenever you're doing measuring, we want to make sure that we cut the front cover before the corner, because the cover won't, the corner won't go over the cover. The cover butts up to the corner. So you want to make sure you cut your cover down so it accommodates the corner piece, okay? Now we had inside corners that we used at the base of the door and then outside corners that we used at the top of the door. And actually these pieces fit the height of our door perfectly. We ended up not having to cut any going straight up, which was pretty good. We did have to trim some covers just to accommodate those corners. Now we did run out of pieces the first day. As you could tell, this is going to be filmed. As you're going to be able to tell, this is filmed over 2 days because we did run out of pieces the first time. When we measured, when we read the thing, it said 15 foot, and I knew I had a 25-foot extension cord, but I assumed, with all my great measuring, that I was going to have plenty of slack, and of course that was not the case. So we did was we put a couple of pieces across the top and just 2 half pieces down the one side, and just left it hanging to the TV until we had gotten the other set. But Jim's just showing you how we're measuring. So this doesn't fit 3 perfect pieces across the top. So what he's doing is he's actually putting the piece up there, taking a second piece, overlapping it so he knows where to mark it, marking it with a Sharpie, and then these cut really, really well with a scissor. I like to use my Betty Crocker kitchen shears from the Dollar Tree. I think they work really, really well. It gave a nice, really clean cut. And I always recommended to him that you cut the base separate from the cover, because again, if the cover has to accommodate the corners, you may not have the same exact cuts. Okay, now they're self-adhesive and the adhesive is really, really good, and I say that because we actually have a piece that when we got the second set, we wanted to move the first piece and no gold. It wouldn't move. So Jim's showing you here just how to cut it. Just, like I said, just a Dollar Tree kitchen shears. It was my favorite. It's nice plastic. It's just snips right off. You want to make sure you don't have any burrs, but that was it. Now it has this great adhesive on the back. Like I said, it's a self-adhesive, so you just peel the sticker, you place it wherever you want. What we did around the base, from the cord to the corner, from the corner to the top, we did all connecting pieces with no spaces. Across the top of the door, we left a space where you could see the cord, but unless Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes to my house, nobody's going to see the top of the door jamb and notice that there's a cord there. And then what we ended up doing towards the end was the back side of the door is really, really close to the wall. So Jimmy put just 2 pieces strategically, just not to waste them, because you cannot see it. It's just there for support. So he did that as well. Okay. Now he's just going ahead to adjust the corners. As I mentioned, you want to cut the top cover a little short to accommodate the corner pieces. Now what we did was we laid all the bases first to see how many we would get, type of thing, and then we're going to put the cord in and then cover it as we go. Now there's 2 different ways to get the cover in. If you are on the end, and you can either snap it on or slide it over. Occasionally it was a little bit better to slide it over, and when you connect the pieces butted up right to each other, you can actually slide across 3 or 4 pieces. Now what I mean about slide is that they snap into the top snaps into these channels on the sides of the base piece, and you can actually get low enough to slide under it, and sometimes that made it easier. As you can see, Jim sometimes is snapping it and punching it in place, and sometimes he's sliding it over to accommodate whatever we needed. Now with this particular base that we have here, we did have some extra cording on the right, so we ended up not cutting the top pieces. We just let it hang off the right a little bit. Okay. Now the one thing I will tell you that this is his first time trying it, and we didn't know exactly how long our cord was and how much slack we would have, so he left a little bit too much slack here on the right, and then we made it way too tight on the left, but we didn't realize that until we got around to it. So we started from the plug and like basically lined it up to the TV, basically from the power source to the end of wherever you're going. Is that necessary? No, that's just the way we did it. Okay, so here's how it looks already, and then we are going to take it one step further so you can kind of see how he's working it around the corner. So this cord being so thick, you kind of really have to bend it. You have to kind of, not to get a kink in it, but definitely give it a nice 90-degree bend. It will bend without too much, like no damage, I meant to say, without too much trouble. But definitely having the cord covers down on the straight floor section definitely made it easier to bend. It kind of helped it hold in place, and he just needed to have it bent enough to get the corner piece over that, the corner cover. Now, do you have to use the corner covers? No. Can your cord be exposed there on the corner? Absolutely. Could you just use these in strategic places to pin your cords down? Absolutely. It's entirely up to you. Now, because the cord was so heavy and it was pulling down on everything, I suggested to Jim, just hang it over the doorknob. If you have an assistant who can hold it up for you, that might be helpful as well. But I was too busy peeling the sticky packs off and the taps off and handing them all the parts. So basically, it's just, the rest is pretty simple. You just put it in the channel and snap the pieces into place, or slide the pieces into place. Again, whatever works for you guys. Jim did just use the back of his fist, but you could use a rubber mallet if you needed to. Definitely don't want to use a metal hammer or anything. That's really hard because you could crack the plastic. But otherwise, I think that this is just a really neat system. So some of the things that we found as we worked was obviously having somebody hold the cord for you. Working from like with gravity is another thing. We were working against gravity with this one side, but you will probably eventually have to work, if you're ever going around a door, you'll have to work with no gravity eventually. So, or anti-gravity, I guess I should say, eventually. So, the corner pieces just snap on once you have the edges in place. If you need to measure, you can always snap a corner piece on, put the piece of covering up to it, measure it, cut, and that whole piece can just snap back on. I do suggest putting the corner piece on to measure, taking it back off, and placing the piece and then putting the corner piece over it. Okay, it just grips better, and you know, it just makes it neater, in my opinion. Okay. So here's Jim doing all of that measuring we talked about, where he is now measuring the covers to match all of those cut pieces that we had up there. But then we decided to just lay full pieces of cover on there, even though full base coverage, full base cord cord base, excuse me, full pieces of cord base were not up there. We decided to just put full cover on it, just to go ahead and hide whatever cord we could, okay? Now, our door frame has like some spackling issues. It's not perfectly sanded flat around that corner. So this particular corner actually gave Jim a little bit of hard time, because the little bump that was behind the cord was pushing the cord forward, but was keeping the cover from snapping on properly. So you'll see when we go ahead and fix it, it's going to give him a little bit of trouble, but it all works out in the end. We end up keeping it up there covered. Now, if it doesn't, the solution we came up with that we didn't end up using, but we could use it if there was a problem, is if the cord cover won't stay for, say, the corners have issues, you could always take some double sticky tape or something and just tape the cover to the wire so it looks like it's covered, even though it's not going to be fully covered, okay? We're not doing this for protection. We're doing this for aesthetics. We're also doing it to guide the cord around the corners, but we're doing it mostly for aesthetics. The reason we're not just using little wire hooks this time is because we wanted it to look neat and professional for just about the same amount of money, because those little cord hooks can end up being a little bit of extra money, and then to get well, I guess since we had to buy 2 kits, it wasn't cheaper, but you know what I mean, okay? So again, this is just him fitting the edge, fitting the corner in, giving it a good pound with his hand, and then moving along, along as it goes. Now, the next time we went to work on it, what I had Jim do was to pull up a lot of the slack. So we had a ton of slack here from the plug to this first section. So what he ended up doing was pulling the covers off of this whole base and sliding it up the side of the door. I think you can see him snapping the pieces back on. Actually, is he taking the pieces off? I think he's trying to slide it. Yeah, he putting the pieces back on because he has slid it up the door. I think you can see it in this next shot. Yes, you see all the slack up at the door there. So we needed to move that around because otherwise the cord was not going down the whole side of the door. It was going halfway down the door and then slingshotting across the wall. And I really didn't want that. That's not why we did this. We did this to hide it, obviously to make it safe, but also to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So what he ended up doing was taking those covers off at the floor, coming up here and pulling the slack straight up through all of those channels. And now he's going to fix the front again and then down the other side. Now the other side, we had, like I said, we only had 2 little half pieces that were kind of holding it behind the door, and we didn't have any on the floor. But that's what we're going to fix today. Now that we have the second kit, we're going to go ahead and fix it. This corner gave him a hard time when he installed it. It gave him a harder time reinstalling it. Now, as the slack goes down around the side of the door, we're going to go ahead and see how close to the corner we get it. And to be honest with you, it doesn't go all the way to the corner. So here's Jim bending it around that corner. I'm sorry the footage got lost, but it isn't going perfectly in the corner. I know you'll see it in the final video, just to share with you exactly how it looks. But I still think it's better than having it being draped straight across the wall. Okay? So when it came to this adjustment that he made, he wanted to go ahead and start from the TV to the corner, just so he could get as much slack pushed into the corner as possible. And we weren't able to put a corner piece on it because it doesn't quite fit in the corner. Now, as far as the side of the door is concerned, he's just putting in a couple of channels to keep it secure, and that's it. So here's how it looks all done. Jim's going to take a nice, long, slow picture around here for you. I think it looks so finished. I know that sounds silly, but it just, to me, it looks more like professionally installed cording. Now, he is going to take it up across the top where you can see some of the cording, but again, nobody can see that from the ground with their naked eye. Well, I can anyway. Maybe someone really tall can, but we don't have that many tall people come to visit. If my nephew Christopher comes, I'll make sure he sees it. But we do have covers in case he does want to go ahead and add them to the top. And then this is how it looks down the side and across the TV. As you can see in the corner there, it doesn't quite fit. but that's okay with me. So hopefully, guys, you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something. You can see that there's options out there. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Do the sharing and the liking and the subscribing. And as always, you guys take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye.